Hello, welcome to our part 4 of chapter 8, Europe. And we are talking about now the geopolitical framework. So we really have what your text describes as a dense fabric of 42 independent states within a relatively small area. So we've got a lot of different states and a lot of population. And Europe is relatively small compared to the rest of the world's regions. Historically, there's been the idea of having democratic nation states that have emerged in this region. Europe's geopolitical landscape is both problem and promise. And so we can take a look at the rapid drawings of Europeans' borders and their nation states' borders. So two world wars really have shaped the geopolitical map of this region throughout the 20th century. And many new states were created during this time. Other states and empires disappeared after the First World War. And some was territory that was perceived to be lost or regained lands and that were then occupied by the same ethnicity. We also saw redivisions after the Second World War. So, between 1945 and 1990, Europe was divided into two geopolitical and economic blocs: the East Soviet-dominated communist states and the West democratic capitalist influences. And the border was divided by what was termed the Iron Curtain. I'm going to go back and I want to take a closer look at this image here showing the progression and where borders have been adjusted. So this image right here in 1914, we see a dominant land area with the Austro-Hungarian Empire here in yellow, and also the German Empire here in orange. Okay, so those are the dominant land areas. Then we see a change from 1914 to 1919 after, as a result of the First World War, where we have Germany broken up and we now see Poland. Oh, I should have mentioned also the Russian Empire geographically was took up a part of the European area as well. Then from a change from 1914 to 1919, we can see the creation of Poland. We also have Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and a small portion of Germany that is separate from the main German area. We also see the Austro-Hungarian Empire being broken up into Czechoslovakia, Austria, Hungary as well, and Romania. And now we have a Yugoslavia area, okay? So we see a lot of changes. Then moving from 1919 to 1945, we have a lot more changes with the Second World War, where we have an East Germany and a West Germany. Poland is smaller. Russia has taken over quite a bit more area. We see the disappearance during this time of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. We still do see Czechoslovakia and Austria, Hungary as well. We still see Romania, although borders have adjusted and changed, and we also still see Yugoslavia. And then moving from 1914 to 2018, we no longer see the East and West Germany. We have one united Germany. And we see we see a return of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania here. And then we also see the creations of additional states: Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, and Romania is relatively, their border is relatively unchanged. But we also see Yugoslavia broken up into several different ethnic groups here. Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, and so forth. So we can see that this area has had rapid changes throughout the 20th century with their borders. And most of the changes corresponding to the world wars happening in that decade. I'm sorry, that century. Okay. So let's talk about, yes, Cold War geography. So it was the Soviets' desire to create a buffer zone between its territory and Western Europe. And so it created an extensive block of satellite countries that were dominated politically and economically by the Soviet Union. Berlin was, in many respects, considered a flashpoint of division between the NATO countries, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization countries, as well as members of those of the Warsaw Pact and of Eastern European. Now, we did see when they say the Cold War thaw, the symbolic end of the Cold War with the collapse of the Berlin Wall, which happened in 1989. It began with the election of a non-communist leader in Poland. And contributing factors include problems with the Soviet Union and rebellion in Eastern Europe. Many of the European states were redrawn through reunification, such as Germany, and separatism as well, such as Czechoslovakia and Yugoslavia. Okay, so with the Balkans, the Balkans have been a largely troubled region. The term Balkanization was used to describe the geopolitical process of independent movements based on ethnic lines. And these really originated from these conflicts. Currently, we see signs of peace and stability in this region. So after the Second World War, there was relatively peace until the 1990s. Then during the 1990s, there was rapid violent breakup of Yugoslavia. And despite some lingering problem spots, there's been moderate and less nationalistic governments in place. And they are moving toward membership in the European Union. Now, there are hopes and aspirations of the EU post Cold War to have not been that have not been universally felt. For example, there's been a decentralization of power in Europe, and that has taken many forms in this process. But the geopolitical devolution and separatism are contrary to Europe's agenda of supranationalism, as the European Union has promoted. The result of this is a small geography of states and sub-state regions, and some are really trying to establish autonomy and independence. So some of these are, for example, the Catalan area. They voted in 2017 to leave Spain. However, the Spanish government has ruled it illegal. Additionally, Brexit, the British voted to leave the European Union, and it was a tumultuous separation, but they have left and they are still struggling with their independence from the European Union and getting their footing. We also have seen rising tensions with Russia for quite some time, not necessarily as a new Cold War, but there has been an assertiveness from Russia that has made the rest of Europe very uneasy, and Europe has been contemplating their intentions with Russia, as well as American security. There was evidence that Russia had interfered with American elections. And more recently, Russia's aggressions towards Ukraine and the war in Ukraine. So I'm going to pause now and continue. This concludes part 4 of chapter 8, and I will continue with part 5.